We have just finished a Rogal Dorn repose. I'm going to give you guys a last look at this build before I ship it out. So the idea was to repose him in a more combative stance, something that's a bit more intimidating, as well as fix some of the features on his face and hair, and then do a weapon swap as well. So there were a couple of little complications, and we'll go over those. So let's give you guys a 360 before I take this thing apart. There are several items that are sticky tacked in place, so hopefully this holds together while I turn this thing. So let's begin with the head. Now the problem the client had with the normal head of Dorn is that the face is a little bit sallow and wrinkly. Kind of looks a little strange. He also didn't like how the face was really old and weird looking, and then the hair is kind of neo-modern. It's a little strange. And so he requested that we make the face a little bit more youthful and strengthen it a little bit, and then fix the hair. So we bulked out the cheekbones and also the jawbone to make it a bit more beefy, a bit more intimidating, I guess. And then we also gave him a haircut, and then just basically gave him a little bit of a trim to where his hair is a little bit more uniform and just kind of normal. He was looking for a clean-cut soldier, is his words. As far as the body goes, we chopped off the bicep on both sides, completely removed that, and then rebuilt these joints completely with green stuff and milliput. Okay, if you'd like to see a process for that, we do have a video detailing how to do that. There needed to be an extra armor plate, if you can see that right there, built in to give the right angle for this pad to be able to clear the cape as well as rotate properly. Forgeworld resin is not great, and so both of these pauldrons came out of the box nice and chipped. So that had to be rebuilt using UV resin and then some milliput green stuff combination, some green put as we call it. The hip here was removed and then rebuilt into some Under Armour here. So that was just rebuilt with milliput. We have a video on how to do that as well. The cloth here was trimmed down until it would fit in a particular position. Because this leg was positioned forward, right? We needed to make some room, so this was all carved out, and then when it was in place, this was glued into place, the one cloth was, and then some epoxy was added to blend in with the details there. The joints and plates here were rebuilt after positioning. To get the pose we needed, we used the posing with pins method found on the Patreon, where essentially you rebuild your base with pins to accommodate your miniature instead of accommodating your miniature to the base. I have a video on that. And then the sword, this is a cromlech ripper, as they call it. This was separated here at the grip so that it could slide through the hand. The hand was then hollowed out, and all of the components of the previous sword was removed carefully. We have a video that just came out on how to do that, which is applicable to basically any weapon swap you're going to do. We carefully removed that and then replaced the grip, added a pin, and then the blade. Now the blade has some filigree, which we have a video on, as well as some lettering. It says Terra on one side, and then just some filigree on the back. You can see there. Now the eagle here is just blue tacked in place. There are lots of components, as you can see, that are blue tacked in place so that the client can paint all of this and then add them. The most difficult part, however, of all of these things was the cloak. This is the original cloak, however, a large portion of it here was removed and then rebuilt, first with resin to bulk it up, then with some milliput and green stuff together. Then they were sanded down and then they were gap filled with some more UV resin and then sanded down again. And then once it was all pretty smooth, we added some Mr. Surfacer in a can. Mr. Surfacer, to give us that nice clean finish. This was a very slow process because we needed to fit the cloth underneath this pauldron, around the backpack, underneath this pauldron, and make it still look correct motion-wise. It still had to have the right flow and motion. So utilizing the same cloak it's a little bit difficult because it was made for a certain pose, a certain position, and altering it so that it can still have that same realistic flow to it is a little bit tricky. But I think it turned out pretty well. There we go, got them back together, more or less. Hope that was fun for you guys. If you like this sort of thing, go check out the other videos here on the channel. And if you like the channel, then you know what to do. YouTube's been around long enough, you should know by now. And if you want to learn how to do this sort of thing, go ahead and join us on Patreon at patreon.com/lastlightcreative. If you have an idea that you want to have built in a commission, send us an email at lastlightcreative@gmail.com or get a hold of us on Instagram. To all the patrons, thanks. You guys are the reason we're all still doing this. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys.